What if Yoda took Anakin to Kashyyyk in Revenge of the Sith? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Before we start, shout out to our channel Sith Lords. Sith Lord 906, Stephen Balkovec, Mattie, a unique name people are inspired by, Lone Star Productions, Mike Uchiha, and Jon G. Yoda ponders this predicament. Of the Outer Rim sieges, Kashyyyk remains one of the most ferocious. Holding the planet has become a priority for the Republic. He's about to agree, but his eyes fall upon young Skywalker, and he feels a tingle in his neck. It's as if the Force is trying to get his attention and point him toward the young Jedi. After his brief encounter with Qui-Gon-Jin, he has opened himself up to the living Force again and can feel its power running through him. In the growing darkness surrounding Coruscant, he can sense negative feelings flowing within Anakin. His resentment, anger, and doubt clouding his mind.
Go I will, to aid the Wookiees, but request young Skywalker's assistance, I do.
Me, Master? What of my role as the Chancellor's aide? Him, Master Yoda. I thought we had agreed that Anakin was to remain here, on Coruscant.
Important communication is, but useful your wisdom is on the battlefield. Speak to the Chancellor, I will.
My wisdom?
Unconventional the war on Kashyyyk is, and experienced you are in doing what is unexpected.
Anakin sees that Yoda is quite sure about this, and the Grand Master isn't going to take no for an answer. But with everything seeming to be settled, he sees no reason to refuse and agrees to this plan. Palpatine is far from pleased, as with Anakin so far away, it will be difficult to influence him directly and turn him. However, as he studies Kashyyyk and its history, he begins to feel the bones of a plan forming in his head. As they arrive, the battlefield is just as bad as Yoda says. The 41st Elite Corps has managed to join up with the Wookiee arms and create a series of defensive fortifications on the beach. Despite that, the battle is proving to be difficult as the droid forces attack across all the coasts, emerging from the waters and rushing their defenses. It takes hard-fought battles to beat back their assaults, though this is only a reprieve, as their super tactical droid orders a withdrawal to reorganize their forces. When Yoda and Anakin arrive, they meet up with the Wookiees and Commander Gree to strengthen their defenses. However, it isn't just the droids they were worried about. Kashyyyk also hosts countless ferocious predators, and some of them have started to venture past the Shadowlands. Already, several patrols were lost to these creatures, and they believe the recent war has angered the beasts. After a long day's work, Anakin is happy to retire to the shelter provided to him by General Tarful. But before he can rest, Yoda approaches him and invites him to join him for an evening stroll. The wizened Jedi stops atop one of the large branches, staring at the moon.
Beautiful this planet is, Skywalker. Aware of its history, are you?
I admit history isn't my strong suit, but wasn't it formed as an agricultural colony by some ancient empire? But their machinery went out of control and caused the creatures and plants to evolve at an enhanced rate. That's why everything here is so big.
Indeed, the Infinite Empire was. Created these worlds through the dark side, they did, with blight and corruption. Yet, beautiful the planet is, and powerful the Wookiees are. Despite the darkness, they are brave and kind. Shows that darkness does not snuff out the light, it does.
True. That's a nice way of looking at it.
Bring you here not just for your expertise, I did, but train you in the Force, young Skywalker.
Train me, Master?
Much still to learn about there is. Seen that I have in my recent travels, and Kashyyyk, a powerful training ground it is. Thrive here, you will.
The next day, they sit atop a different warshare tree, this one far larger and deeper into the forest. Command of the clones is temporarily given to Quinlan Vos, letting the pair focus on training. The air hums with life, chirping insects, distant Wookiee calls, and the soft rustle of leaves. Yoda sits cross-legged, and Anakin kneels a few paces away. He has Anakin quiet his mind and sense the Force all around him. In a place like this, where the Force is all around them, it is in the purest form, primal and powerful. Anakin takes a deep breath, closing his eyes. At first, all he hears is his own breathing, the thrum of his heartbeat. But slowly, the world begins to shift. The forest seems to breathe with him, its pulse steady and ancient. It breathes through the swaying of leaves, the sounds of animals, and the faint rustles in the plants.
It's alive. Everything. The trees, the animals. Even the ground feels alive.
Yes. Through the Force, all life connects. A vast web it is, with every being a thread. Trust in and guide you it will. Think of this jungle not as a multitude of beings, but as a single tree. Spreads its roots, it does. Miles and miles across the world.
The entire world?
Connected, it all is. The entire galaxy as it is, was, and always will be.
And what about those who have passed?
Difficult to watch those we love leave us, it is. But even now, we still learn from them. Learn this I have from Qui-Gon-Jin. An illusion death is, as is life. But in the end, there is only the Force.
Anakin nods solemnly, taking in those words carefully. Together, the two watch the wildlife around them. Over time, Anakin learns to connect with the living Force, not just sensing these creatures, but reaching out to them. Rather than leave this spot, they use the Force to sense the beings below, not just on the lower levels, but deep into the forest, where no light permeates the ground.
The Shadowlands this is, deep within the heart of Kashyyyk. Strong the dark side is here. Feed on fear, anger, and despair it does. Resist it, you must.
A sudden rustle draws their attention. From the shadows emerges a massive Wi-Shock spider, its long legs clicking. Its many eyes gleam with malice, and it lets out a low, threatening hiss as it senses their presence.
Fear it felt. Yours, and its own. No power over you does it have, unless give it, you do.
A sweet, intoxicating scent fills the air, and faint whispers seem to echo around them. Anakin slows. His expression is distant as the whispers grow louder in his mind.
Temptation the dark side brings. Promises of ease, of power. Lies they are. Resist you must. Breathe, Skywalker. Acknowledge the darkness, but embrace it not. Like a storm it is. Pass it will, if let it you do.
Anakin closes his eyes, focusing on his breathing. He grounds himself in the Force, and slowly the whispers fade, and the presence eases. But just as peace settles over him, a tremor ripples through the Force, sharp and urgent. He stiffens, his eyes snapping open.
Wait, there's something else. A presence. No. A lot of them. They're terrified.
Yoda's ears twitch as he too feels the disturbance. His expression darkens, and he rises slowly, leaning on his cane.
It's close. A patrol, I think. They're under attack.
Yoda nods, and the two of them weave through the dense undergrowth. The forest grows darker as they descend deeper into the forest floor, where a group of clone troopers, their armor scratched and dented, are desperately fending off a swarm of vicious-looking spiders, their legs sharpened like pincers. One clone is dragged to the ground, his screams cut short as the creature disappears into the underbrush with its prey. Anakin ignites his lightsaber, its blue blade casting an eerie glow as he charges into the fray. With precise, powerful strikes, he cuts through the spider's legs, sending one crashing down and allowing the troops to finish it off. Yoda leaps into action beside him, his green blade flashing as he darts between the spiders, his small form a whirlwind of energy.
Get to higher ground. We'll cover you.
The clones regroup, retreating toward a cluster of massive roots that offers some semblance of protection. Anakin and Yoda hold the line, their blades carving arcs of light before joining them once the last of the clones is safe. As Yoda and Anakin guide the battered patrol back to safety, a clone communicator crackles to life. Distorted voices shout reports of attacks all across the coast. Villages overrun, wildlife tearing through settlements, civilians fleeing for their lives.
We're being overwhelmed. Multiple sectors reporting attacks from hostile fauna. It's like the entire forest is turned on us.
Reports vary with different creatures attacking. There are Katarns, Michaels, massive spiders, and more, all raining down destruction on the clones and Wookiees. They enter places they've never ventured before and fight ferociously, as if driven mad with anger. They do not even seem interested in feeding. It is as if they are fighting simply for the sake of attacking. The next hours blur in a desperate battle for survival. Anakin and Yoda move from village to village, cutting down the enraged creatures and organizing evacuations. Families huddle together on transports, their faces frightened as they flee to the safety of fortified coastal zones. Anakin pushes himself to the limit, his lightsaber a constant blur as he defends the evacuees. But the attack grows more coordinated, the creatures more vicious. It is as if the entire world has gone mad, and he sees an assortment of creatures, ones that would normally be fighting against one another, now working together. Amid the chaos, the ground shakes beneath their feet. Trees snap like twigs as a massive form lumbers into view. A Terentatek, its monstrous bulk covered in thick, spiked hide. Its tusks glisten with venom, and its beady eyes burn with primal fury. The beast lets out an earth-shaking roar, charging toward the fleeing villagers. The Terentatek charges, swiping with its massive claws. Anakin leaps forward, slashing at its armored hide, but his blade barely leaves a mark. The beast roars and strikes back, sending him flying into a tree. Yoda darts around it, his blade finding weak points in its joints, but the creature seems impervious to pain. Just as the Terentatek rears back for a killing blow, a flash of light cuts through the air. Quinlan Voss steps into the fray, his lightsaber spinning in an arc of brilliant light. He lands beside Anakin, offering a hand to help him up.
Thought you could use some backup.
Together, the three Jedi manage to drive the beast back, their combined efforts finally overwhelming it.
This isn't happening just here. It's everywhere, across the front, even the droid-controlled sectors. Whatever's stirring up these creatures, it's hitting everyone. What could cause this? The Force feels twisted and corrupted.
Agitated the balance has been. A great disturbance, deeper than we know.
Together, the trio retreat to High Command, where Gree and Tarful are waiting for them. The two officers have worked tirelessly, evacuating whoever they can and fortifying the most defensive areas. But something is off, and they can sense the chaos raging around them. They try to create strategies to slow down their advances, ranging from forming defensive lines to bombing out areas that are too heavily occupied by these creatures. However, these only delay the inevitable. At the rate of their advancement, Gree reports that the entire front could be lost in a matter of weeks, unless they get reinforcements or figure out a plan. Eventually, Anakin comes up with a bold idea, one that no one enjoys. But soon enough, the Wookiee council chamber hums with tension, filled with the low growls of tribal elders and the grumble of clone officers as they stare at the hologram of a tactical droid. The super tactical droid, designation K3N7, steps forward, its photoreceptors gleaming with cold calculation.
It is highly irregular for organic beings to propose an alliance with a confederacy of independent systems. But given your desperate situation, it is understandable.
Our desperate situation? Have you not seen your position, K3? Because I have. Your droids are falling by the hundreds every day.
True, but our forces can easily be replaced. I predict it will take these creatures many weeks before we are depleted.
Maybe, but you're talking about holding the line. That won't matter in this fight. We need to win, and that's not going to happen unless we work together. Your droids don't know how to fight these creatures, and we don't have the numbers to keep them back.
These attacks have been jeopardizing our operations as well as yours. Cooperation is logical.
This is more than just logical. This planet is on the brink of collapse. If we don't work together, none of us are getting off Kashyyyk alive.
The Wookiee chieftain Tarful growls a series of guttural phrases, which a translator droid quickly renders.
The Council agrees with the Jedi. Unity is the only path to survival, but time is running out. The creatures are growing bolder.
With the aid of the droids, they begin shrinking their lines and moving troops back from the front to defend against the wildlife. The arrival of the droid reinforcements is essential for the Republic's effort, as the creatures find themselves facing a far stiffer resistance. The front soon stabilizes as the additional troops create a safe zone for civilians to escape, allowing them to regroup along the long coastal strip where they are eventually evacuated to safety. It is a relief to the battered Republic war effort, but this is far from over. While they have some breathing room, it brings them no closer to victory as the creatures remain as relentless as ever and their numbers slowly deplete. This is where the Jedi come in. Using Yoda's teachings, the trio spend their days meditating and trying to understand what is happening. They try to calm some of the creatures, or search for signs of the dark side that might have turned them. They meditate, sensing the turmoil from Kashyyyk itself, as the planet almost seems to be choking. Anakin struggles to deal with this, feeling the darkness clawing at him, but forces himself to keep fighting as he searches for the answers amidst the chaos. This eventually leads them to sense the darkness enlarge at the very bottom of the forest floor, deep within the Shadowlands.
Master Yoda, I feel chaos. The creatures are enraged, but something deeper is driving them. It's as if the entire forest is screaming. I feel it too. It's not just natural. It's focused. Like a predator toying with its prey.
The three Jedi reach out through the Force, their minds connecting with the vibrant, chaotic energy of Kashyyyk. Anakin's vision blurs, and suddenly, he sees the dense canopy of the Shadowlands, the twisted roots and glowing fungi pulsing with a sickly green light. Shadows twist unnaturally between the massive trees, forming indistinct shapes, faces, claws, and eyes. A voice, guttural and ancient, whispers through the void.
Deeper. Find me.
Anakin's vision shifts, and he sees a massive, crumbling structure buried beneath the forest floor. It's unlike anything he's seen before. A machine, ancient and monstrous, glowing faintly with dark energy. Surrounding it are waves of feral creatures, eyes glowing red as they surge towards something unseen.
The Forge hunger. It awakens, and you will fall.
Master Yoda, I saw it. A machine, buried deep in the Shadowlands. It's alive, and it's fueling the darkness here.
Alive, perhaps. Corrupted, certainly. Feel it, I do. The dark side surrounds this forge. Fed by it, the creatures are.
That wasn't just the Force. Something is actively pushing back against us. Whatever's down there, it's more than just a machine.
Tarful steps forward, his deep growls reverberating in the chamber. The translator droid hisses to life.
What you see is an ancient scar upon this world, left by those who sought to control it. The Wookiees have long avoided the depths of the Shadowlands, for the Forge brings only destruction.
What does it do?
We do not know. No Wookiee dares approach it, and the last beings who did so thousands of years ago, during the era of Revan.
Find it. We must.
We must protect the Wookiees too. The clones will continue holding the line, but we can send some of the droids to strike at the jungle to lure these creatures out as we move to this structure. If the droids launch attacks in the Shadowlands, they can draw the creatures away from the Forge long enough for us to reach it.
Wise, this plan is. Dangerous, still. Ready, we must be.
Great. A Jedi strike team going into the heart of darkness. What could go wrong?
K3 agrees with this plan and begins organizing a strike force to attack. This move is unexpected, and few were prepared for a sudden offensive. However, the attack is swift and violent. Droid gunships and fighters open the attack, braving flocks of aerial creatures and rain fire down onto the forest to clear passes for the droids to advance and take full advantage of their numbers. These are followed by lines of battle droids and armored vehicles. Tanks, speeders, and other heavy arms open fire on the creatures, driving them back into the woods as droids open fire at the retreating forms. These attacks are relatively small and across a wide area, allowing them to concentrate their soldiers. They manage to drive back the creatures, but soon enough they come back in force, stalling these offensives. But as this happens, the trio of Jedi hurry through the jungle. Atop speeders flying on the upper levels of the Great Kashyyyk forests, they descend only once they approach the ruins of the Builder's Forge. The three continue to meditate every chance they get, dodging patrols of these creatures. As they draw nearer, the dark side influence grows and probes at them. Anakin in particular remains vulnerable to this. However, he manages to resist it for a time. As they draw closer, they can better sense the source of darkness, allowing them to get closer before descending into the shadows. The tactical droids' diversionary tactics successfully draw much of the wildlife away from their path, but the deeper they venture, the darker and more oppressive the forest becomes. As they approach the area identified as the source of the disturbance, the trio looks down and sees it. The Builder Forge, a massive structure particularly overgrown with ancient, gnarled trees. Its angular, unnatural architecture stands in stark contrast to the organic chaos of the forest. But the forge is not unguarded. Surrounding the entrance is a gathering of creatures, large and more feral than anything they've encountered thus far. Terentatex. Anakin, Yoda, and Quinlan Vos stand at the edge of the clearing, their lightsabers ignited. Ahead of the forge, dozens of Terentatex prowl. Their glowing red eyes lock onto the Jedi. These beasts are larger and more feral than anything they've encountered, purer embodiments of the dark side. The first wave crashes into the Jedi like a tidal wave of fury. Anakin meets the lead Terentatex head-on, his blade slicing through its side, and ducks under its claws before driving it into its chest. Quinlan flips over another creature, landing behind it and slashing at its legs. The beast stumbles, but its massive tail swings out, forcing Vos to leap back. He slices it off when he lashes at him again, and then finishes it off before turning to face another one. Yoda darts through the chaos, a green blur of motion as he carves through the Terentatex' thick hides, his small size making him a difficult target. Vos sees them grouping around him. Quinlan reaches for a tree and slices its trunk, sending it tumbling toward them and opening a gap. Anakin joins after them and uses the Force on the debris. While the Terentatex are immune to the Force, he can use it to hurl debris at them, slowing them down and letting the others finish them off. The battle is brutal and unrelenting. Quinlan narrowly avoids being impaled by a Terentatex tusk, rolling under its massive form and plunging his blade into its exposed underbelly. Yoda feels one claw snag against him and knock him to the ground, only to be saved by Anakin. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the last Terentatex falls, its roar fading into a gurgling death rattle. Before they can catch their breath, slow, deliberate clapping echoes through the clearing. From the shadows, Emperor Palpatine emerges.
Impressive. Most impressive. The strength you displayed here, young Skywalker, it is extraordinary.
Chancellor, the hidden Sith Lord, you are.
Indeed. And I thank you for dealing with those pesky creatures. For days I have fed off the dark energies and directed these creatures. But as you can imagine, Terentatex are unpredictable. But now with this, we can create an army of unparalleled power. Imagine it, Skywalker. A legion of creatures imbued with the dark side, unstoppable and loyal only to us. Together, we could conquer this world and use it as a springboard to dominate the galaxy.
Anakin feels the darkness swirling around him, whispering its support for such an idea. It talks about the world they can make, the world he can make. Images flash through his mind of what might be possible if they unlock the powers of this machine. But at the same time, he senses another thing calling to him, a faint tugging at the back of his mind. It is the jungles of Kashyyyk, whispering of their pain, and how their beautiful landscape has become tarnished. A call for help.
Never. I'll never join you.
Palpatine's smile vanishes, replaced by a snarl of rage. The Sith Lord ignites his crimson blade, lunging forward with unnatural speed. The clearing erupts into chaos as the three Jedi face him. Yoda leaps high, blocking Palpatine and trading lightning-quick strikes. Quinlan flanks him, rushing towards one side. He picks up a heavy stick and slashes it at him. Though it quickly breaks apart under Palpatine's lightsaber, it distracts him long enough for him to stab his weapon forward, forcing Palpatine to sidestep the attack. Anakin follows up by slashing at him, trying to take his head, but the Chancellor is too fast and hurls one of the dead Terentatex at him. The creature's carcass nearly sends him off balance, but he rushes past them. The three close in on him and rain down attacks. Though Palpatine halts these attacks, his defenses begin to crack. Cursing at this moment of weakness, he unleashes a burst from the dark side that throws them back, sending them flying. The trio catch themselves, feeling the dark energies wash over them. They let it flow past them as they rush at him again. Yoda comes first, leaping over his initial attacks and swinging at his head, though Palpatine blocks these initial attacks. Quinlan Vos comes in once he is occupied and strikes from behind. He moves like a viper, striking at him and then disappearing when he strikes back. This keeps his attention and fractures his defenses just a bit more. By now, the dark energies are oozing from this place, seeping into them and making it hard to fight. Although the two masters hold it back, it is only a matter of time before they can recover. Anakin sees this and rushes at them. He grips his lightsaber tightly and leaps over at them, swinging over at Palpatine's body. The Chancellor dodges this attack at the last second and glares at him. Suddenly, he hurls a bolt of lightning toward Anakin, who must halt his attack. But rather than just block it, Anakin squares his shoulders and begins to redirect this lightning, pointing it towards the ruined tree, sending splinters flying everywhere. Anakin takes a moment to redirect them towards Palpatine. Some wood chips as large as his arm embed themselves into Palpatine's chest. Anakin ignores his pained cries and rushes forward, swinging his lightsaber and slicing it across his neck. As Palpatine falls to the ground, they instantly feel the tension in the jungle begin to fade. The darkness around them begins to ease. And while it doesn't fully dissipate, it is less directed, and the pressure on them eases. Anakin closes his eyes, letting his consciousness explore the rest of the jungle. All across Kashyyyk, animals blink in confusion as their bloodlust begins to fade. The droids take this chance to take the offensive, leaving the animals to retreat. With Palpatine and Dooku's death, and Grievous soon being destroyed by Obi-Wan, the CIS are left without effective leadership. The CIS Council soon surrenders to the Jedi as they receive no instructions from Palpatine. Meanwhile, their actions on Kashyyyk are an eye-opener for the Jedi. They see how close they were to falling, and how their connection to the living force was instrumental in their victory. When they return, the trio begin looking to adopt these practices across the Order and bring it closer to their roots. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.